All right, is there anybody that is not ready? What's it? 3 off and case. Okay, 3 off in case.
Or 4 off.
4 off in case. Yeah. Okay. All right, again, is there anybody that is not ready? Okay. Topic out, aiding and dying, interpretation violation. The evidence of legalized physician-assisted suicide they don't claim is aiding and dying, not PAS. Relevance 14. Terminally ill and mentally challenged or mentally competent patients have a fundamental right to aid and dying. Terminally ill patients to choose aid and dying. It's regrettable that you're otherwise fine. Article described aid and dying as assisted suicide, for it is no way relatable to suicide. Aid and dying is chosen by mentally competent patients. Persons who choose aid and dying do not want to die. But wait a second. You said aid and dying. Okay. But they did not suffer agonize death, put their family members through an agonize death. The practice of good professional psychology in New Mexico is that law recognizes that aid is not a form of suicide. Vote negative ground. Using the word suicide is critical to perception. Links specific to the language of suicide and death and literature. PAS negative ground is already too small. They skirt the entire resolution of the way. And palliative care is counterplay. The United States should increase end-of-life care by establishing a state advisory council model off of Maryland State Advisory Council on quality care at the end of life. Palliative care education centers and establishing fellowships for palliative care and awarding grants and contracts to doctors who teach and practice palliative care. And CPA extends access to palliative and end-of-life care. SKIN 13, HR 1339 would begin to address a serious shortage of health professionals trained in patient palliative care. The bill would create palliative care education centers to expand the interdisciplinary training. Palliative care is a big change in healthcare delivery because it improves the quality of care for seriously ill patients with improved access to palliative care, a better quality of life. And advisory council is key to effective implementation, collaboration, rushing towards eliminate care delivery for seriously ill patients and financing are legitimate issues in healthcare reform initiatives. Well-integrated palliative care and hospice service should be a core component of the patient-centered focus. This coordinated patient-centered care will suffer a state policy opposed barriers to effective advanced care planning and implementation. State-level activities of interest not only to organizations with their own ideological purposes, but also to clinicians seeking the optimal policy environment for good end-of-life care mechanisms are needed to foster a discussion of policy choices. And Dems go this head. Dems will win. All the polls are wrong. Con 1030. Polls show that the Republicans have an advantage. Polls will prove wrong. Possibly it's not far-fetched. Polls have underestimated the Democrats. The reasons to think that today's polls underestimated Democrats are not based on the last few results. They're based on a diverse set of methodological arguments supported by extensive research suggesting that many polls struggle to reach Democratic group. Polls include many of averages and forecasting models and are not high quality. And Obama's carefully calibrating midterm strategy to mobilize the Democratic-based controversy over ACA is being resolved. Page 91. Hampered by low ratings, Obama enters campaign as a liability mindful of his precarious position. Obama's charting a strategy intended to do no harm. Embracing his status as the party's fundraiser. Obama's expected to do targeted outreach to encourage young people. The president will be sidelined in all races that will determine control of the Senate. We will not go to where it's not helpful. Senior advisor said they are bright spots. His healthcare law rebounded and no longer looks to be the drag. President remains best asset for rallying constituents who would slate close elections. He's one of the stronger motivators for grassroots. And plan response controversial debate over the ACA mobilizes massive opposition, breaks down purpose to legalization of PAS in Oregon. Organizations that oppose to respond by mobilizing voters of more implications of public discussions around the Oregon Death with Dignity Act resolved very little in the debate. The debate served as a template for nationwide conflict concerns have continued to shape the current discussions, rhetoric and themes from PAS campaigns would arise in discussions of healthcare reform under Obama. Politicians opposed to Obama's reform invoke fears of death panels that would choose a patient's death. Conservative opponents continued to use the phrase death panels. The term deems a rhetorical device to block any rational discussion of end of life. Aid and dying played formative roles in discussions about healthcare. And GOP control causes Keystone Pipeline veto filibuster fails CS 714. Keystone XL gained a little traction in the divided Congress. Republicans have been able to collaborate with the Democratic Senate. Partisan crossfire has torpedoed legislation with support. Republicans could take the chamber and start acting. These action was likely support. A Republican-led Congress could quickly bring to a vote. Many Democrats are pushing for votes on Keystone. The president could end up with a bill in early 2015. Republicans are united. Obama holds veto power but blocks bipartisan legislation approved by both chambers would not be the most politically desirable option. And Keystone Pipeline fuels bitumen extraction causes extinction and collapse of boreal forests. Custer's 11. Keystone XL is a scheme aimed at expanding the extraction of bitumen. Canada is where the largest amount is extracted worldwide. If Obama gives the green light, the extraction is expected to double. The pit mining results in holes in the earth. Its mining results in destruction of boreal forests, loss of biodiversity, and oil spills. These implications can no way be belittled. There's implication that it is threatening the survival of humanity. The Canadian U.S. emissions will increase. The Polaris Institute cites data indicating the emissions in case of venom extraction are 4 times the normal rate. IPCC indicate all attempts aimed at preventing climate change will be undermined. Canadian boreal forests that presently act as a reserve of CO2. If the project is approved, Canada will default on the obligations undertaken under the Kyoto Protocol. Any commitments Obama's made will become meaningless. And boreal forest solves extinction. Pact Note 8. The boreal forest is crucial to the survival of the human race. It treats us along to the earth, providing oxygen filtering to keep the earth a healthy place to live. Boreal forests filter clean water. The land is a natural habitat for abundant wildlife. And physician-patient relations is at 1 to see. Plan undermines medical-public relationship and ethics of care. Bristol 96. The AMA rejects PAS as unethical and incompatible with physicians committed to healing and life. Lost distinction. PAS can undermine the foundation of the patient-physician relationship that was grounded in the patient's trust that the physicians are working for the patient's health and welfare. Physicians have an ethical responsibility. These ethical duties require physicians to respond aggressively to the needs of the patient. And that brings an effective response to disease outbreak. Roman 6. The foundations of the duty to provide care are grounded in long-standing ethical principles. It is evident that the expertise of HCPs is an integral and principal component of the response to a pandemic. There's no other sector of society that can be expected to fill this role. And disease causes extinction. Cassidy All 12. Recent decades provided unequivocal evidence for pathogens cause extinction. Although disease has traditionally not been associated with extinction, this view was changed by finding a single fungus responsible for extinction of numerous species. Previously, the view that diseases were not caused by extinction was predicted on the notion that pathogens required hosts. That does not apply to microbes acquired directly from the environment, such as fungal pathogens. It is possible to kill off every last member without harm to itself from existential threats. Environmental microbes pose a great threat to humanity. And plan independently wreck stem cell research. Robertson 6. The claim of a right to treatment to save life and reduce suffering might be understood as the reverse of a right to end life by termination of assisted suicide. Given the importance of the state's interest in predicting life, it would be odd if the state were to adopt policies that threaten life. The claims of a right to control has been a centerpiece of struggles beyond issues of sexuality. Such a right will undermine the sanctity of life, violate the ethics of the medical profession, and impair the welfare of vulnerable patients. The use of safe and effective ESC-derived therapies provide a unique twist. ESC treatment involved efforts to avoid death and reduce of suffering. And that's all to telomere erosion. Hartman 4. ESCs can rapidly grow. ESC have telomeres which can restore the damage, allowing them to divide indefinitely. And erosion causes extinction. The Guardian 4. Will we persist, or are we headed forward? The answer could lie at the extinction. The answer could lie at the tips of our chromosomes. Protective cats called telomeres provide the answer. Telomeres prevent instability. And value of life. VTL doesn't outweigh 10 show 11. If Schopenhauer is right, if life is never worth living, we should all end humanity. But it is a possibility, even if people lead lives not worth living, they believe they do. Some of them may believe their futures will be better. My belief is most live lives worth living. Or for argument assume lives are not worth living, and if so, we should kill ourselves. This does not answer what we should do. We should not commit suicide. If I kill myself, many will suffer. Suicide leads to loneliness, and those left behind affected all their lives like meaning does not mean others will follow my example. And value of life is subjective. Life is a prerequisite. Shorts 02. The determination of the value of life is subjective to be made by a person and experience that life. That ought not to be made externally by another person, but internally by the individual. Must be given the opportunity to decide whether they think their lives are worth living. And yes, value of life, our status is being and here's an affirmation of life in the face of extinction, not being Bernstein 02. Jonas challenges two well-entrenched dogmas that there's no metaphysical truth and there's no path from the is to the ought. To escape from ethical nihilism, we must show that there's a metaphysical grounds of ethics and an objective basis of value. Jonas pursues this underlying theme of all life through the ascending order of organic powers, metabolism, moving and desiring, sensing and perceiving, imagination, art, and mind. Freedom must denote an objectively discernible mode of being. Jonas goes so far as to maintain that metabolism is the first form freedom takes. There's a basic value inherent in organic being, the yes of life, the self-affirmation of being becomes emphatic in the opposition of life to death. Life is the explicit confrontation of being with not being. The affirmation of the life that is no longer organic being has a binding obligatory force upon human beings, a new categorical imperative. Do not compromise the conditions for indefinite continuation of humanity on earth. And always inherent value to life. Kunz 01. Frankl is a prisoner in a concentration camp, related instance of transcendent states he experienced, allowed him and others to maintain their sense of dignity and self-worth. And life always has meaning too for the individual. A person can always decide how to face adversity. Self-transcendence provides meaning and enables the discovery of meaning for a person. Individuals are able to move out beyond themselves despite pain. And no system can further erode value of life. Also 30. If civil liberties are curtailed, there will be a movement to restore them. Americans watching us will know what the word means. Suppose that the Nazis had conquered the world. I hope that the people in different parts of the world would resist that Nazis, and when they did, out of these they would fashion a minimal morality that would serve the purposes of their struggle.
Are you done?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Open across.
Yes, we. Okay. So just to start here, can you just? How are we not topical?
You all say aid in dying this year's resolution specifically says physician assisted suicide.
What's the difference in physical terms of dying and suicide?
We're pretty much saying that your wording makes you non-topical.
Okay, that's fine.
And so,
That's totally good. Thank you. So then on to your counter plan. Okay, so your counter plan, just give me a brief overview of it. Why is it important?
The counter plan expands access to palliative care and end of life care.
How does this solve for dignity and autonomy?
How does it solve for
Yeah.
dignity?
Why is your plan better?
We're simply saying that it provides better care for people towards the end of their life instead of having to pretty much, be assisted in their death. We're saying that they can have better care so that they may not have to be assisted in their
So that they don't have
So
to
they
make
wouldn't
the
have to-
decisions.
yes.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Onto your done stuff. Okay, your Purvis 12 card, how does it account for the recent Brittany Maynard case?
Which is,
She is opting to use PAS in Oregon.
which part are you referring to?
Your Purvis 12 card, which is 2 years old, how is that relevant to the day and age right now?
Well, it's predictive. We're pretty much looking at what you're saying. You're basing it off the Oregon model, and that's what we're looking at as well. We're saying that the Oregon model would pretty much spark debate, and it would not be good for Dems.
Okay, then can you just explain Keystone Pipeline?
The Keystone Pipeline is pretty much something that would be put in place within the
United States.
within the boreal forest, which is actually key to a lot of purification of water and air. And we're saying that the Keystone Pipeline, which is extracting oil out of
That's what we're
the is going to kill off that forest, causing really bad stuff to happen.
Okay, onto your DISAD then. Or actually, sorry, one more question back up there. What's the credibility of that PAC offer that the boreal forest health extinction?
The PAC offer?
Yeah, there's no date to it. Where's it from? No, right, sorry, I got more questions here. Okay.
You're saying the boreal forest salt's extinction?
Yeah, sorry, I got more questions. I'm just gonna go.
Oh, sure.
Okay, thank you, Doug.
Okay.
So can you just kind of go, what's your link to your stem cell research?
We're pretty much saying that there's not going to be a lot of
Or that, well, since the plan independently erects stem cell research, it just kind of, it's.
How does the plan run stem cell research?
I mean, it's in the card. The treatment to save life and reducing suffering might be understood. No one would necessarily need stem cell research if they have this option to have physician-assisted suicide.
Are there other diseases in the world?
Are there other diseases?
Are people constantly inflicted with diseases? Anything some kind.
21.
21, right? Just gotta see this.
Your way of flashing, I mean, the rest of the
Hey, Alex, 2 AC cards. Choose one of you two, right? Actually, I'll go with you actually. Bonnie, you're over here.
Oh, sorry.